I met Ethan, it was like my life switched on from standby mode. That strange feeling of finding home in someone you barely know. Ethan was calm, observant, a little cynical at times, but gentle in a discreet way. We met at a company meeting at the place I worked in Boston. He was new to the IT team, and I had just transferred from HR. We clicked instantly. We got along so well that 2 months later we were already living together in a small apartment in Salem. And 3 years after that, we got married. The first few years were good. Nothing out of the ordinary, but ... good. We had that kind of silent connection, one that doesn't need much to know what the other is feeling. Or at least, it was like that for a while. The change was subtle. It started in the fall of 2021. He became more distant. First, he stopped doing those little things. Coffee in bed, notes left on the fridge, playing with my hair when I fell asleep on the couch. Then, he started to seem absent even when he was present, like something was behind his eyes, pulling him away from me. I thought it was work stress, personal crisis, marriage, boredom, maybe. But then he started forgetting things, like my birthday, or the song he sang every time he did the dishes. Yes, that happened. And the strangest thing, he stopped dreaming, literally. He would wake up with a blank expression and say, "I don't think I even slept," or "It was all dark." Ethan always had vivid dreams, and he would tell me all about them every morning. And now, nothing. I started to get restless, but it was on one particular night that I realized something was really wrong. We went out to dinner, my attempt to rekindle what we had. I got all dressed up, put on that dress he used to compliment, and nothing. He was on his phone the whole time, didn't even look at me properly. When we got home, I went to take off my makeup, looked at my reflection in the mirror, and felt like I was sharing the apartment with a stranger. Ethan wasn't my Ethan anymore, but he still slept in the same bed, still said goodnight, still ate the same way, watched the same shows. Only his eyes were dead, like ... completely. I've always been skeptical, but the feeling that there was something invisible between us only increased. I went to Madame Eileen, an old woman who worked in Marblehead, in a secluded house full of herbs hanging from the ceiling. She was the type who didn't talk much, just looked too deeply and told you what you were trying to hide even from yourself. As soon as I opened the door, she said to me, "You took your time. I've felt your presence at my gate 3 nights in a row." I swallowed hard. I sat down at the table, and she drew the cards. Silence. 1, 2, 3. On the 3rd card, she said, "Your husband has been ensnared, not by accident. It was someone who knows you very well." "Ensnared how?" I asked. My throat felt like it was burning. Entanglement, witchcraft, emotional manipulation, separation and binding. Double bind, I laughed. Seriously, I laughed nervously. But when I looked into her eyes, I saw there was no joking there. And then came the bombshell. It's someone close, a woman, with the letter C in her name. Someone who has been in your house. My blood ran cold. Only one name came to my mind. Carly, my co-worker at the old company. The one who introduced me to Ethan. The one who always asked about our relationship as if she were a couples therapist. The one who told me, if I were married to him, I would do it differently. But always with that joking tone. I wanted to deny it, but my whole body screamed. It was her. I left Madame Eileen's house with my head spinning. She asked me for a photo of Ethan and something personal that had his scent. The next day, as soon as he left for work, I grabbed an old t-shirt, the one he used as pajamas. and a photo of us in Central Park from the last time he seemed whole. I left everything with Eileen. She placed the items in a glass jar with dried herbs, murky water, and something that looked like coagulated blood. I didn't ask what it was. I just wanted him back. "Don't rush," she said. "The spell was tied with strong intention, and someone is feeding it every day." "Does she still do rituals?" I asked. "No need," she replied. "Sometimes hatred itself is enough." In the following days, Ethan started to ... oscillate. There were days when he offered me coffee, others when he didn't even look me in the face. There were nights when he sat with me on the couch, and others when he fell asleep before sunset, as if he was being pulled by two worlds. Meanwhile, Carly disappeared. No stories, no messages, not even appearing in the group of old work friends. And that's when it hit me. She knew I was undoing the spell. The following week, Eileen called me again. She was tense. The candles in her room flickered without wind. "She's reacting. The energy has become heavier. The knots have started to retie themselves." She showed me the red rope on the table, full of tight knots. Each knot is a memory of him being corrupted. To undo it, I need something of hers too. But I don't have anything from Carly. Eileen stared at me for long seconds. "You will get it. The truth wants to be returned to her." That phrase echoed in my mind for 2 days, until I received a notification on Instagram. Carly posted a story, a selfie in the mirror, with that indecipherable smile, recovering but still fighting. She tagged a new cafe near downtown. Small place, easy access. I didn't even think. I went there. She saw me coming in and smiled. "You, what a surprise, ... I approached her with the same mask she wore. "We need to talk." "About Ethan." She feigned surprise, then compassion. "Oh, I heard he's been distant. If you want to talk, friend, I'm here." I lied. I said I was desperate, that I needed help, that only she could hear me. She loved it. I ordered a latte with oat milk. When she got distracted, I opened my bag, took out the small vial Eileen gave me, an oil as dark as ink, and dripped 2 drops on her napkin. She wiped her lips with it. That was all Eileen needed, a direct link. Now, the energy would return to the source. That same night, Ethan asked me to watch a movie. He held my hand, and when I looked into his eyes, he was there again. Not completely, but it was him. The lively eyes, the returned soul. The following week, he apologized for being strange. He said he had very bad dreams for months, but couldn't remember the content. Only now they had stopped. And Carly, she disappeared from social media and from the world. I found out later, through a mutual friend, that she had a nervous breakdown. She was hospitalized. Apparently, she talked to herself, said she heard voices laughing at her from the mirror. Then she started walking around the house in circles, singing an old song that no one knew. I don't know what Eileen did. I didn't ask. I just know that the energy was returned. And one thing has become clear to me since then. If you feel that someone has snatched the soul of the person you love, don't doubt your instincts. Not everyone steals with their hands. Some do it with their minds, with intention, with magic. And if you still think this is all nonsense, look deep into the eyes of the one you love today, and pray that it's still them in there. I never thought my mum believed in witchcraft. I mean, she was always one of those practical women, with a firm voice and her feet on the ground. the kind who solves everything with a cup of tea and a gittle pass. But when I told her what was happening to Ethan, my husband, and mentioned that someone might be using magic to drive him away from me, ... She didn't laugh. She turned pale and said, "You're not the first in the family." It was the scariest thing she's ever said to me. I thought I was going to hear some vague advice, something like forget about it, or maybe it's just a phase. But, instead, my mother made me sit on the sofa and closed the living room door, as if what she was about to tell me was something the world outside shouldn't hear. When I was about 25, your father and I broke up. It was a silly thing. Argument over jealousy, over pride, ... young people stuff. She spoke with her eyes somewhere else. That's when Doug appeared. I had never heard that name. He was charismatic, gentle, made me laugh, and knew exactly what I wanted to hear. I thought I was falling in love, but she paused for a long time. ... It was different. I felt trapped. Like I was in a relationship where my head said yes, but the rest of my body screamed to get out. According to her, things got worse quickly. There were nights when she woke up in the middle of the night and couldn't remember the previous day. Other times, she felt like she was watching her own life from the outside, as if she were just a spectator. And then came the nightmares, always with the same woman, a hooded figure without a face, whispering words in a language she didn't understand, while stirring something in an iron pot. I started to feel disgusted by his touch, but I couldn't break up with him. It was like something pulled my body back every time I tried. It was my grandmother, her mother, who realized something was wrong. She took my mother to a woman named Clarabelle, who lived in the outskirts of Asheville, in a small house in the middle of the forest. She was known as a herbalist, but the women in the South knew what she really was, a witch, a good one. My mother said that Clarabelle didn't even need explanations. She just looked at her and said, "He put you in a flesh bond, used blood in the wine and hair in the food. It's not love. It's a spell." My mother collapsed. She didn't remember anyone messing with her things. But suddenly, she started to connect the dots. The day he made a surprise dinner, the glass of wine that tasted metallic. She was trapped, literally. Clarabelle prepared a sequence of baths with herbs, infusions of specific roots, and asked my mother to sleep with an old iron knife under her pillow for 7 days. She said the nightmares would get worse before they ended, and that, on the last day, she would see the true form of the bond. On the 6th night, my mother dreamed of Doug. He was lying next to her, his whole body twisted, as if he had no bones. His mouth was too big, and, inside it, there were strands of hair. Hers. She woke up screaming. The next morning, she looked at him and saw nothing. No charm, no presence, no feeling. She broke up with him the same day. Said she felt an almost supernatural relief, as if she had removed an invisible collar from her neck. "I ran back to your father," she said, "and I swore I would never doubt what my heart was really telling me." She held my hand, and what she said next was engraved like iron in my mind. "The magic that binds is not love. Love doesn't need a spell." After my mother told me about Doug and the spell that trapped her, my view on everything changed. Not only in relation to what was happening to Ethan, my husband, but about myself. I started to wonder if something like that could be hereditary. Not the witchcraft itself, but this kind of marking, as if something invisible, way back, had put a sign on our lineage. Something that says, "This one is easy to ensnare." And what if it wasn't just a coincidence that history was repeating itself with me? That night, I went home with my head spinning. Ethan was already asleep. I stood at the bedroom door for a while, just looking at him, trying to feel something, anything. The love was still there, but it was like there was a thick glass between us. I saw everything, remembered everything, but I couldn't reach it. And then something strange happened. While I was watching him, he murmured something. It wasn't a snore. It wasn't a sigh. It was a phrase, clear as water. Come back to me. My eyes filled with tears. He was there. Somewhere inside him, the real Ethan still existed, and he was trying to come back. It was at that moment that I knew what was holding him now was very similar to what held my mother, but maybe stronger. Because, unlike what my mother went through, whoever did this to Ethan knew exactly what they were doing, and had reinforced the spell so he wouldn't escape. The next morning, I went to my mother again. I showed her an old ring that Ethan had stopped wearing months ago. It was perfect for the ritual that Clarabelle had taught my mother years ago. But that's when she said something that paralyzed me. Clarabelle died 3 weeks ago. What? Her cabin caught fire. The police say it was an electrical accident. She lived in the middle of the forest. No electricity, no nothing. How electrical. My mother stared at me with a fear I had never seen in her. Maybe someone knew you were going to look for her. That silence between us weighed like lead. The phone rang. It was an unknown number. I didn't answer. 10 seconds later, a message arrived. Clarabelle couldn't undo what's already done. You're next. Stop looking. My skin crawled all over. There was no name, only that phrase. The only person who knew I was going to look for Clarabelle was my mother. That is, someone was watching us. I looked at my mother and showed her the message. She pursed her lips, picked up the phone, and, without saying anything, turned off the screen. Then, she took an old box from the kitchen cabinet. Inside, there was a small bracelet made of wooden beads, with an iron pendant in the shape of a key. This belonged to Clarabelle. She gave it to me the last time we saw each other, said that one day you would need it. But, how did she know? My mother didn't answer. She just handed me the bracelet and said, if you dream of breaking mirrors, call me, no matter the hour. Today is the 3rd day since I received that message. And for the first time since all this started, I saw her, the woman behind everything. But let me go back a bit. After the dream of breaking mirrors, the one my mother told me to let her know if I had, I called her crying, trembling, with the feeling that something was already inside my house. It was just a dream. She tried to calm me down. But the dream is the last warning before the door opens. What door? She was silent. The one you inherited. And then she told me, all the women in our lineage had a weakness. An open window to the unexplainable. Some managed to ignore it. Others didn't. My maternal great-grandmother, for example, was found dead with all the mirrors in the house covered with sheets. She said someone from the other side was preparing to cross over. My grandmother, when young, dreamed of a man in a grey coat who stood on the corner of the house, night after night. When she tried to confront him, she got sick out of nowhere and almost died of fever. It turns out that, according to Clarabelle, the healer who died in the fire, this invisible mark can be awakened by black magic rituals, especially by bindings. They not only hold someone's love, but also open paths for what is down there to rise. That's when everything made sense. The spell that was cast on Ethan wasn't just a binding. It was an invitation, a door. And the thing that came from the other side was using him as an anchor. But now, after the dream of breaking mirrors, she no longer needed Ethan. She wanted to come in through me. The next morning, I went to the company where Ethan and I used to work before the pandemic. I went after a former co-worker named Bridget. Bridget, always elegant, always smiling, always friendly. But now that I knew what to look for, I saw everything differently. She wore a necklace with a pendant in the shape of a serpent coiled in a circle. Her skin was strangely opaque, as if something was sucking her energy from within. "Wow, long time no see," she said with a calculated smile. "Is Ethan well?" "He is, thank you," I replied, keeping my tone firm. "Have you seen him recently?" She smiled with her eyes, but her face tensed up. "Why do you ask?" "Because I know what you did." The table went silent. She didn't deny it, didn't make a scene. She just stared at me, as if she had been expecting this for a long time. "He was supposed to be mine, but you ruined everything. He loved you too much, so you decided to take that away from me." "No, I decided to take back what was rightfully mine. That made me freeze. You're not just an obsessed woman. You mess with things you don't understand." She laughed, a dry laugh, empty, as if it didn't come from her chest. "Who said I don't understand? I was trained, darling. The woman who taught your mother learned from me." That phrase was like a punch. Clarabelle learned from her. But before I could ask more, she grabbed her bag, stood up, and said, "You'll still thank me. When all this is over, you'll see that he was never yours. He was just spending time with you." And she left, leaving behind a sour smell, like rotten meat in a wet cloth. That night, I put on Clarabelle's beaded bracelet. I lit a white candle and drew a circle of salt on the floor of the room. I took a bath with rue water, as my mother ordered, and lay down with the feeling that the night was not going to be normal. It wasn't. At 2:33 in the morning, I woke up with Ethan standing in the bedroom door. But it wasn't Ethan. His eyes were empty. His skin looked thinner, almost translucent, and he spoke, without moving his lips. "She's already in. You opened the door. Now you're the one who's going to stay." I got up slowly and picked up the mirror that was on the dresser. I pointed it at him. The reflection wasn't Ethan, it was her. A cadaverous face, cracked lips, black hair dripping something that looked like oil. She smiled in the mirror and whispered, "You saw me now. That means I'm closer."